Okay, so today we are transforming slide decks into active learning. So that is our topic. I'm Alice Keeler. I am a professional learning consultant with Orion, and at my heart, I am a teacher. If y'all would just take a quick second to create a Google Slides. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Sammy. If you do Control T, it's going to open up a new tab. And if in that new tab, you type in slides.new. So we're going to make a new Google Slides. We're going to type slides.new, and that's going to create a new Google Slides. I take it for granted that everybody does this. My Google Drive is a hot mess of documents because I do slides.new, docs.new, sheets.new, even sites.new, Google Sites. You can take whatever it is and put a .new on it, and it is going to start you a new, in this case, slides, and it is free floating around in your Google Drive for you to organize later, but it's a really quick and easy way to get started. So just for kicks and giggles, because Google Slides is the focus of today. Now, I am showing you Google Slides. This is literally applicable to any presentation tool. You can use this with Canva. You can do it with Microsoft. So while all of you probably know that I am very googly myself, so I use Google Slides. It's ideas here and not specifics to Google Slides. I have a couple of things that are specific to Google Slides that I will show you, but that is far from the majority of the presentation. Now, I have in here for note-taking. I'm doing a lesson. I'm introducing content to you. So you would, as my students, right, do note-taking. Should you do it on those Google Slides? Well, that's a great question. I would say use paper. I am a fan of paper. My tagline is paperless is not a pedagogy. Unless there's a reason that you're going to yes and your notes and take advantage of the multimedia things you can do in Google Slides, honestly, paper is better. So if you want to take that paper and draw a line and you have your input zone and your output zone, and the only reason I'm bringing this up because it is about the topic today is that when we do active learning, we don't want the students to just copy down their notes. I've got that somewhere here. Copying is not active learning. We want them to think about what they're learning. So creating graphic organizers, and this is just one idea for a graphic organizer to help students think, okay, here's what I'm learning. What am I going to do with it? I'm not actually asking you guys to do this today because we have 30 minutes and I'm going to try and be prompt on that 30 minutes, although I'm going to go a tiny bit over on the 12:30 just because we got a late start since I had to switch platforms. But I'm going to stick to the 30 minutes. I'm going to respect your time. We're talking active learning today. What does that mean? Active learning consists of instructional methods that prioritize student involvement through critical thinking. I really should have bolded that word. To me, that's what it's really about, is that students are thinking during the lesson. They're doing collaboration, they're having discussions, and they're doing hands-on application during the lesson. And copying is not active learning. So in a traditional method, oh gosh. In a traditional method, I forgot those slides. I made them. They just did not make it into my presentation, and now I'm mad at myself. So in a traditional lesson, what would happen, right, is you might create a PowerPoint, some sort of a presentation. We present students with information, and then they copy it down. If they are copying it down word for word, they're mimicking. That is low critical thinking. I like to say that it's DOK 0. Really effective note-taking is students should really be doing something with those notes. Oh my gosh, it's leaving me right now. If anybody wants to drop this into the chat, you draw a line down the side of the notes where they're doing it, and it's a specific style of note-taking. There's a lot of different templates out there. Cornell Notes, that is exactly what I was thinking. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you, Margaret. Right? So, and that's a great way to do it. So you can use Cornell style notes or whatever you're doing where you're structuring the format for the students, that they're not just blindly copying, but we really want them thinking about what they're doing. Now I have a link here. I'm going to provide this to you. And the title says, Active Learning Narrows the Achievement Gap. So what I always do, I'm going to show this to you in a second. And by always, I mean like in the last 6 months. I create a notebook LM, whatever topic I'm doing, I create a notebook LM and I go grab research articles, like a bunch of them, go get a bunch of research articles and I upload them to Notebook LM so I can ensure that any of my blog posts, my social media things that I post, and my presentations are bound in research and tied to resources like what's the evidence? Where did you get that from? And so Notebook LM these days has been helping me do that. That doesn't mean that it took me less time to make this presentation, because you have to argue with AI if you are using it and you're digging down, exploring more, and then trying to formulate that into how it would look as a presentation. And right now, asking Google Gemini, create me some slides based on this Notebook LM is not fantastic. It's okay, but it's not fantastic. So let's go ahead and take a look at my notebook. So this is what I made. I'm going to share this with you. Come on. This is the link. Link to my notebook. Now later, when I send out the slides, I'm going to send them out every Monday with the recording, just so I can reduce the number of emails that I'm sending out to all of you. So on Monday, you will have the slides, and any slide that references something, the whole slide is a button. So you can just click on the slide and it'll open that tab. So I'm going to show you that. I'm looking at the slide. I don't know if you can see that my mouse is the hand, and I just click on the slide and it opened up my notebook. So I'm going to pause here for just a quick second because we really don't have time. This is a 30-minute deal, just for you to ask some questions like, what is active learning? So in that chat there right in the center, you can use that if you have any questions about active student engagement. I have all of these resources, researched articles, and then some non-research articles. I got something here from Matt Miller and Casey Bell in there as well, but they're all sources that I have vetted and really constructed to hopefully create something that's really helpful to you, because obviously in this 30-minute session, there's only so much we can do. And then on the right-hand side in the studio, I have a bunch of slides and infographics and notes, and I even have a quiz if you want to take the quiz and see where you align on active learning. So that is a resource for you to use after this presentation. I'm going to Control W, close that, so that you can keep the learning going, which, by the way, if you would like a certificate, I'd love to give you one. So at the end, I will give you a link that you can fill out to get a certificate for participating in Kansas in order to receive 1 hour, 1 PDC point of credit. You would need to spend an hour. So since we're only doing 30 minutes, you're going to tell me, what are you doing and thinking about and reflecting on how you're going to apply this to kind of round out the hour, and that will be in the Google form as an option if you want the certificate. All right, so what is active learning? We are moving away from just delivering facts to really engaging students in critical thinking. And the research shows that that does improve learning. So I did link to already one research article. We obviously did not read that together, but it is there for you to look at later. And then I have other research articles there in that Notebook LM where you can actually look at the whole research article and see that I didn't make this stuff up. I did let Notebook LM make me these graphics because they're pretty fun. Now, here's the problem. When you switch your style of instruction, when you're asking students to do the cognitive lifting during a lesson, they think they learned less because it's harder. When you're just talking and students are copying down the notes, it's low cognitive load for them, right? It feels easy, and then we're able to get through a lot of things. And so it felt like, wow, I heard a lot of things, but did it stick? Did it stick? Can they apply it? Do they remember it later? So in the moment, it feels like they did a lot of learning, but the research shows they actually perform better on assessments when they engage in active learning strategies as opposed to a traditional model of note taking. Right? It's that cognitive state. They need higher friction. They need to like be a little confused. They need to think, I'm not getting it. They need to struggle through ideas that we're really asking them to go deeper. And that active learning is that intersection in between where they're doing things and they're thinking about things. And we're trying to engage their brains in there. So there's still some element where I am presenting information to them, but then I'm asking them, what do you think about that? What are you going to do with it? So this is a tip for an active learning lesson is instead of going through the entire period where you're providing them with information, and even on a I do, we do, you do model, it's not that. Those pauses are not the you do or the we do as much as it is offering them something to do. We're going to pause the lesson. You go about 10 minutes, and then you're going to pause the lesson and you're going to ask them something that gets their brain thinking, that they synthesize, they reword, they teach it to a partner. So like think, pair, share is a great way to engage students in active learning, that they're going to goal set and do something with that information. Right? So we have these pauses or checkpoints throughout the lesson. Okay, so don't do as I say, do as I do. So I'm going to pause for a second and I'm going to let you reflect on what have we learned. So if you were doing your note taking there with your input zone and output zone, in your input zone, you might have put down any of the notes and things that I had said, that you copied it or paraphrased it. Paraphrasing is higher critical thinking than straight up copying. And in fact, one of the strategies is you don't let students take notes. Like, we're going to go over something together, and then now you're going to use retrieval practices. I love retrieval practices where they then are given time to write down everything that they remember, and that's a way for them to engage more in the lesson. Now, the output zone is where you're going to maybe summarize the lesson, write a brief original summary. Try and do it in 22 words or less. Put some constraints on that, which would really force them to think about, what did I just learn? Maybe you could exchange notes with a partner, and your partner can evaluate what things you thought of or how you might utilize this. This is not, again, not with the copying. So maybe what I want them to do is not copy anything, and then I ask them, write down everything you remember. Now change your notes with a partner and evaluate each other, give some feedback. What did they leave out? What maybe things they might think of also. So giving them a break to think about, what did I learn? Letting them to be a 60-second expert. So we're just going to take 1 minute where they're going to try and convince their partner, their neighbor of something. And what is one concept you are struggling with? So, and again, you might want to do that in a think, pair, share, or a way that they can share those out. So does anybody want to share what is one concept you are struggling with? You can just put it into the chat. Okay, so Naomi gave a really great comment that I would really like to read out too. It says, it doesn't just aid in retention, but it makes the lesson more multimodal. And I can share a research article with you right now. alicekeeler.com/ss/engage. Oh, this might not be it. Let me look. Oh, no, that was not it. That is the link to my book. I apologize. That is not, maybe it's engagement. You know, and I'm going to make a note that I'm going to send this out. So this research article that I'm attempting to link you to says that when you use multimedia, that students do engage more and they do learn more. So thank you about that. It's the active learning moments, thank you, Nick, that students remember, not the day that we copy notes. I love that. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. And maybe you could popcorn around the room and just ask each person what's one thing you remember from what we just talked about. So allowing everybody to share one fact. And again, it's that reflecting and thinking, giving them a chance to be engaged in the lesson. Now, I did do a blog post earlier. If you are interested in some more tips that I have written down, so you can go to those later. I'm not doing that right now. So I want to provide you with some resources, because what we're doing right now is Google Slides. So why does it say don't use Google Slides? Because I don't care if you use Google Slides. The act of learning is not based on whether or not you use Google Slides. The act of learning is based on the strategies that you use. And then you're going to ask yourself, could Google Slides or a different technology help me? One thing I was thinking about is using Google Gemini when I turn on the canvas. Let me just jump over to that gemini.google.com, and I use the plus icon, and I choose under tools, I choose canvas, and then I create an app that, so you start this off, create an app that, and you can create an interactive applications where students can explore concepts really easy through an interactive applet, and those will embed not into Google Slides, but it will embed into Google Sites. And I have some really great news for you. I am going to share how to do that with you at a later presentation. So I hope that you continue to be signed up for my newsletter to have those. So I'm saying do not use Google Slides because it is not the tool. It is never the tool that increases the learning. It is not the tool that increases the student engagement, but of course, how you use it. And that we use our own critical thinking skills to say, here's my goal. Would slides enhance or improve this activity as opposed to if I did not use Google Slides? Now I'm going to show you how old I am. Nick, you want to join in with me in being this old? Anyone else this old?
Yeah, well, I'm a good 10 years older than you, so I remember
You are
film strips.
not. I turned 50 this year, friend. I turned 50.
Well, I'm at the halfway point this year, between 50 and 60.
See, we're pretty much the same age. But so my teachers all used an overhead projector. And a few years ago, I saw Google tweet out this image. Then we used to use an overhead projector, and now we use Google Slides. And of course, this last couple of weeks ago, they changed the logo for Google Slides. But is it really changing anything if I'm just projecting or saying the information, writing it on the chalkboard? Got a picture for that. If I'm writing it on the chalkboard, if I'm putting it on Google Slides, or using the overhead projector, just showing information is showing information. The same is the same. It doesn't matter if you change the medium, you got to change how you're interacting with students to really activate them doing the thinking, because the person doing the thinking is the person doing the learning. So our first, and I think maybe most important skill, no, I think my next one is the most important, is being able to use the theme builder. So if you are in Google Slides and you go to the view menu, and you can tell that I made this slide today since I have the updated Google Slides logo, and you go into the view menu and you go to theme builder, it's going to allow you to design your Google Slides experience. So I'm going to go to slides.new because I love to do that. Let's go. Okay. And I'm going to go to view, and I'm going to go to theme builder. And then you'll see that there are 11 layouts options. Honestly, I just delete them. I delete them. Boom. So I have one layout, and you can add more layouts. It's real easy to add a layout. I literally press enter. It's going to add another layout, or you can use the plus icon up in the toolbar to do that. But when I use the theme builder, I'm able to add images and text. So I'm going to add a text box. This is locked down. And then I'm going to get insert image. I'm going to just do this from the internet. And I'm going to get a parabola, because actually I'm going to get a coordinate plane. Coordinate plane. I don't want to spend time on this, so I'm going to use this one. But picture this, there's no box on it. It's an XY axis. So what I'm doing is I am designing my layout to allow students to have information that they can't mess with. Text boxes are locked down. So when I'm over here, I'm going to click plus. You notice when I click plus, it just added a whole bunch of that same layout. That means the text is there. This image, I can't mess with the image. And so I'm going to be able to design where I'm asking students in different ways to engage with the content. So I'm creating that graphic organizer in Google Slides where I'm locking down some of it so it's on the background there. So you'll notice what I did when I go to layout. Right now I have two layouts. My trick is I only have one layout, maybe two. But my first layout is always the layout that I want the students to use so that when they add more slides, every student, assuming that this is something interactive that the students are using, but that every student is getting the same experience. They're all getting the same graphic organizer. So let me yes and that. I'm going to go back to the view menu. I'm going to go back to theme builder. As I think about how I'm structuring my lesson, it's not just the content I put in it, but it's the brain breaks that I'm going to set in there. It's the pause, turn to a neighbor. It's the pause, draw and sketch something. It's the don't take notes now, use retrieval practices and write everything down. So I'm going to just build all of those templates out for how I'm going to use active learning strategies into my Google Slides template to help me that when I am presenting information to my students, that I've got this on my mind, that it's set up for student interactivity. That doesn't mean the students are interacting on the slides. It might, but it's designed to remind me how I want the students to be interacting during the lesson. So that is my first tip. My second tip, I think this is my favorite, is collaborative Google Slides. Take a deep breath, friends. Take a deep breath. I know, right? What we're going to do is we're going to make a Google Slides. You'll see that I use the theme builder. I have a slide for every student, and then they're going to mess it up. Yep, they will mess it up. That happens. That happens sometimes. I think the real trick to being successful at collaborative Google Slides is you do one every day. Every single day, for some reason, I have students contributing to a Google Slides or maybe a Fig Jam or some other collaborative space. Doesn't have to be slides, but it's something collaborative, right? I'm going to go to the share icon, and on share, I'm going to make it anyone with the link can edit. No, I'm not. I'm going to add it into Google Classroom and give them edit access, or however it is that you're able to give them edit access through your student information system or your LMS. But I'm going to do that. And then I want to use the file version history and name the current version. Name the current version. So before I have students touch a collaborative document, I save the current version, the blank template. So if, and I'm saying this because it happened to me, someone's got Snoop Dogg smoking something on your slide and you don't like that, I just quietly go into the version history. I see the version history and I revert it back to the way that it looked before it got messed up. So version history is really your best friend when you're using collaborative slides. Okay, so I have only a couple minutes left. I will be sharing these slides with you. You do have my email address. So if you want to ask any more questions or follow up, I would love to do that. A concept test is where you're going to project a question. So again, you're going to build that into that theme that you were designing, which is not just a quiz question, but something that really gets students to think about something that they would maybe debate. And so that is one of these options down here, silent debates. Maybe students could add to those collaborative slides and use commenting where they insert comments on each other's slides to debate through ideas and share and critique. We can do a shared jigsaw where each group sends one person from the group to go to an expert group. And in that expert group, the expert group prepares and creates presentation slides. And then they go back to their home groups and use those collaborative slides that they made with their expert group, and then they're going to teach the rest of their group, and everyone takes a turn doing that teaching of the concept for whichever expert group they were in. So slides is actually really great for that. If you've ever done a nonlinear choice board, you can insert shapes onto a slide and then hyperlink them to other slides. So we give them, they click on like whatever their choice is, and it goes to a slide that provides multimedia, an embedded video, a link to the directions if it's, or template, but the choice board allows them to not only make a choice on what way they're going to demonstrate their learning, but provides them customized instructions on how to do that. And I also might choose to do that using Google Sites. Okay, virtual gallery walk, a living word wall, because one of the strategies for active learning is we don't just copy down vocabulary words, but we draw them, we act them out, we get physical, and we have students really work with and use those words beyond just writing a sentence. Okay, and so last but not least, we're going to use those Google Slides to give that exit ticket. I was surprised when. So I'm going to end this with you if you don't mind. If you want to just add into the chat, I was surprised when.